If you press the same button you used for the dive kick, she can hop cancel on hit, which gives her access to some really dirty mix-ups.
I bet.
So you can...
All right.
Watching the stream, give me one
Anji, Ino, I'm looking forward to this. Particularly Ino. Out of all the redesigns, and I love generally all the redesigns, pretty much all of them in Strive, Ino is the cleanest redesign out of all of them. She looks so good. They look great. They look great, both of them. You know, when they first announced Anji, I was like, Anji? Like, really, Anji? But now that I look at him, he looks sick.
So first up, we're going to be covering Ino, one of the returning characters from the Exert series. So for those of you who've played Ino before, you know...
One thing I'm going to say, notice the lack of UI. May just be a training mode thing, might just be a presentational thing, but maybe they're tinkering with the UI as well. And notice in the background, Xrd music. It's Soul's theme again, the same from the character select theme they used in the beta. But I hope that's an indication that we have a choice of music in the final release. Like, I would really prefer just instrumental music. I mean, I've talked about this in the past, but I think the compositions in Strive are fine, but I just found the lyrics a bit distracting. Anyway, Jukebox was already announced. Honk, honk. I'm all for that.
Who thrives on air mobility. Rather than a traditional dash that moves her along the ground.
Yeah, she's the Morrigan.
Airborne.
She's the Morrigan of Guilty Gear.
She has really good air normals, great air mobility.
She looks so good.
And some of the best mix-up in the game. It can be a little bit hard to approach with her dash since it forces her to be vulnerable while she's traveling. But it gives her access to extremely fast overheads and lows, lots and lots of great mix-up tools. For her special moves, it's really how she gets in on the opponent because she lacks the ground game that some of the other characters have.
Right.
So you're going to be relying on these special moves to lock your opponent down in place, make them block, and then it's your turn to go.
So just to reiterate, like, Ino is traditionally a very aerial mix-up heavy character. Yeah, when you try to dash with her, she goes up. She goes in this diagonal trajectory, like Jeddah or Morrigan from Darkstalkers, which gives her easy access to high-low mix-ups and even left-right. She's a very tricky character. She's very good at opening you up. She even has a bit of zoning as well, but she's not really like a turtle. She's all about getting in and opening you up. She's traditionally been a very technical character. She is quite complicated, but I imagine her execution barrier will come down for Strive. The fact that you have a dash button, a dash macro, is gonna mean a lot for Ino, because she's dashing all the time. It's really gonna make a lot of her trickier execution quite a bit easier, I imagine.
Best tools in neutral to cover horizontal space is Chemical Love, which is done with Core Circle.
Chemical Love? Yeah, so really good space control tool.
It's a long-range projectile that covers a ton of horizontal space. It's a really versatile move in that you can use it as a poke at mid to long range. You can use it as a combo ender to cause a hard knockdown, a soft knockdown rather.
Oh god, she looks so good.
Both in neutral and in combos. You can also do it in the air as well for air-to-air attacks. Another horizontal move that Ino has to get on the opponent is Stroke the Big Tree, which is done by doing Hat Circle Bird and slash or heavy slash. So this move sends Ino very low to the ground as she travels
Stroke
forward.
the Big Tree.
So it's a great move to avoid the opponent's high attacks.
Yeah.
And she'll be able to go underneath them.
This is an anti-zoning move.
Goes a little bit shorter distance than the heavy slash version, and they both have different advantages on block. So this is a great move to use mid block string to sort of reset your pressure, or in neutral when you think the opponent's going to throw out a high-hitting attack that you want to evade and get in.
Yep.
She also has...
I imagine it'll probably be unsafe on block as well.
Most people call it just the note, which is quarter circle back and punch. So Ino will summon a note from her hat that travels across the screen.
And this gives her some limited zoning ability, and you can also throw it out and kind of chase it and use it to get in.
The further it goes, the more hits it does. So if you're up close, the note only does one hit, but if you're full screen, it can do up to 5. Another one of Ino's biggest tools in neutral, since she can control the angle at which the note comes out.
And yeah, you can also use it to set up Okizeme. Correct, Vedo Show.
Up. You can hold it to make it go down as well, or even alter its trajectory mid-flight using these inputs.
Yeah.
So it's a great move for playing off your opponent's options, right?
Exactly. And you throw it out sometimes to kind of make it more unpredictable about when you want to go in. You can play a bit of a interesting keep out game with her, or a zoning game with her, I should say.
Upwards, and now they can't jump anymore. They have to stay grounded.
Actually pretty powerful.
Send it along the ground to force them to block. which lets you go, and do pressure. So moving into Ino's air options, you might have noticed already that she does not have the same kind of air dash as the other characters in the cast. She does not have the sort of slow startup air dash where you.
Oh wow! She doesn't even have the like the Devil May Cry bumper thing. Her air dash is gonna be a lot harder to react to.
He instantly does a down float, which is super oppressive.
Yeah.
Great for movement and mobility and mix-ups. She also has special moves in the air that can also alter her trajectory. So she has Sultry Performance, which is her dive kick that has 3 different variations, all at different angles. So if you do core circle forward and kick, she'll go down at a pretty steep angle.
She's hard to anti-air.
Sends you at about a 45-degree angle, and Heavy Slash sends you completely horizontally. So you can use these on offense to mix up your opponent, alter her air trajectory as you're approaching, and each version also has different properties on hit. So the kick one,
fuck it, I'm gonna play Ino. She looks too good. She looks too fun.
Will leave them on the ground. The slash causes a soft knockdown, and then the heavy slash will pop them up into the air. She also has follow-ups off of Sultry Performance, where if you press the same button you used for the dive kick, she can hop cancel on hit, which gives her access to some really dirty mix-ups.
I bet.
So you can basically extend your jump pressure by 1 more move.
It's kind of interesting. It seems like Ino is playing like traditional Guilty Gear, while a lot of the other characters are playing Strive. Like, she's probably the most Guilty Gear character I've seen in Strive yet. She's the most mix-up heavy, Oki heavy, like, she seems like she's playing Guilty Gear. You know what I mean?
As for her supers, there was a little bit of discourse about how the super works in the trailer, since it's a little bit different from previous games. Ultimate Fortissimo is one of the supers you saw in her trailer.
Ultimo Fortissimo. Wait, what was it called? Ultima Fortissimo. I like that.
So you'll recognize that move if you've played Ino in previous games. There are 2 different versions of the super now. There's an aerial version that starts up instantly, and there's also a ground version, which is a reversal. So while the ground version takes longer to start up, the animation where she's flying up into the air with the kick is actually invincible. So you can use it on Wake Up as a reversal get off me sort of tool. Or you can use it in the air to sort of pressure your opponent.
Okay.
She also has 1 more super that you saw in the trailer, but unfortunately it is not finished yet, so we can't show it off to you guys just yet. You'll have to wait a little bit longer for more footage of her. But
it looked cool though.
She is familiar to Ino players from the days of old. A lot of her tools are going to be the same. You're going to see a lot of sweep into note, into overhead pressure. But she also has been translated into the Strive engine, where her mobility is a little bit different. She has some new tricky mix-ups that she can use. Lots of really fun stuff with this character. I think people are going to have a really fun time playing her.
Ino looks sick. Like I said, Ino and Milia seem the most Guilty Gear to me out of all the Strive characters, right? And I'm surprised, because Milia, like, you would have thought she lost Pin. She's probably quite different. But now Milia in the beta was just pretty much good old Milia, right? Very mobile, very oppressive Okizeme, you know, mix up an Oki City, right? And Ino is similar to that, but a bit different, because she's much more focused on like aerial mix-ups. Considering how good chicken blocking and just being in the air is good in Strive, I imagine she'll be very strong. But we'll see. What has Ino lost actually from Xrd? Vertical Chemical Lovers, right? And the Air Command Grab. Okay.
So now we have Anji as our playable character. If you are an old-time Guilty Gear fan, this character is nothing new to you. But if you are like me and started with Xrd, this character is a returning character from the Double X series. So for young blood like me, it's sort of a learning process on what this character does. He's a very all-rounder character. He's sort of like a jack of all trades. He has access to a lot of good tools, but is actually a little bit tricky to play. So he's got some very strong normals, good defensive options, and mix-up tools. But he is a little bit slow. He will take some practice to use.
They're playing a Giovanna's theme here. I did notice that in the trailers they played, the themes for Anji and Ino don't have lyrics, which I would prefer. I would prefer them to be instrumental, but we'll see. You're right. The song's probably not finished. They're going to add lyrics, you know, at the 11th hour. Like, fuck. Anyway, let's take a look at his normals. Sorry.
He has some very good long-range normals, multi-hitting normals, and a lot of his special moves give him guard point, which allows him to blow through the opponent's attacks. 2 special moves that Anji has are very core to his gameplay. The first being Shitsu, which is core circle forward and punch.
Okay,
Or, as
butterflies.
it's more commonly known, the butterfly. If you do something like land a throw, you can put a butterfly on the opponent and cause some pressure. You can do a sweep into it. And that gives Anji the opportunity to run up and go for a mix-up.
Right.
So the other special move Anji has that is core to his gameplay is Fujin, which is a forward advancing special move. This special move is super fast, it has decent range, but it is actually unsafe on block, meaning that Anji is going to have to cancel into one of its 4 follow-ups to keep himself safe and keep the opponent on their toes.
Rekka.
P after using Fujin, which sends Anji up into the air, throwing down some projectiles.
So I do like how Matt McNamara, since he's he speaks native Japanese, he gets the pronunciation for all of Anji's moves just perfectly.
Keep yourself safe while still keeping pressure on the opponent. It's going to avoid any of the opponent's
That is
low
a super
attacks
satisfying
and
sound effect as well.
Follow up with more pressure. It's basically if you catch your opponent sleeping or trying to hit a button, you can
That's
counter
punch,
them
right?
with the P follow up,
Yeah,
and then
P.
go in for more offense. Once your opponent starts respecting your options at the Fujin, you can start mixing them up with the K follow up, Isokotobi, which is an empty pop.
Okay.
So while this doesn't actually do any damage, it leaves Anji at a state where he can go for a throw into more pressure. He can just land and do more pressure with normal.
This character's going to be annoying to fight against. But I imagine mechanics like FD and instant FD are really going to disengage a lot of his canned follow-ups quite effectively. But he has so many options, that's the thing, that there's never going to be like, you won't be able to option select the timing on an instant FD or anything.
The S follow-up, Nagiha, is a quick low that combos after Fujin. Basically, your go-to combo ender with Anji. If you can combo into Fujin, into the S follow-up, it causes a soft knockdown.
Right, combo ender, S.
Pressure. Or if the opponent is blocking, it's a great tool to just end the block string safely and return.
Oh, safely?
It's very
Okay.
difficult to punish.
I wonder if it seems safe because of pushback. I wonder if you instant guard it, if you can get a punish.
The last overhead is sort of a partner, the S follow-up, which is Rin. It's the H follow-up, which is a slow overhead.
Yes, S was unsafe before, and H was safe. But, you know, it makes sense that the overhead should be unsafe. The natural way to guard in a 2D fighting game is low. Overheads tend to be unsafe on block, and lows tend to be safe. Makes sense. I think that makes sense. It's a lot clearer. It's a lot more in tune with general 2D fighting game knowledge. Looks reactable.
You can be mashed out of it after using it. So it's another tool you want to use once the opponent is respecting.
No, it's not. I don't think it's reactable. Wow, that is pretty fast actually for an overhead. Let's see again.
So it's another tool you want to use once the opponent is respecting you.
Oh, I don't know. Do you think that's reactable or not, guys? You can probably fuzzy it. Yeah, you can probably fuzzy guard S and H. It's one of those things. If your focus is completely on blocking the overhead, I imagine, especially with that gorgeous rollback netcode, that you can block it on reaction.
Like his follow-up.
But if you're totally focusing on that, then he can just cancel into K, hop in, and either continue his pressure or throw you or something like that.
A combo on hit and a massive combo on counter hit. This move is unsafe on block. You want to use it a little bit sparingly, but if you do,
that's unsafe.
Sleeping with it, you can follow up with another combo, especially in the corner.
I love how clearly and eloquently Mr. McNamara is explaining both like the moves and the utility of the moves in a really clear to understand, non-condescending way. Like, did you see their Twitter accounts? They just showed you about like a little pointer about Axel's One Vision can be used to punish moves on whiff, as well as convert his long-range pokes into a big combo. Frank, open, actionable advice delivered in a non-condescending tone is singular when it comes to fighting games, especially from an official Twitter account. This bodes so well, like short, informative, to the point.
So a lot of Anji's pressure is sort of similar to previous games where you can stagger into your different follow-ups and keep the opponent guessing as to what you're going to be doing, and then you want to mix up your low and your overhead.
Butterflies, wreckers. He's an obnoxious little character.
Very easy to understand pressure with
very easy set play
if you manage to make them block your Fujin.
Yeah, Anji is basically set play in a nutshell. And I think he'll be very strong when he first comes out, just because he's so immediate. But over time, as people figure out defensive options and being able to option select the low and overhead and when to instant FD or when to instant guard, I think he'll probably fall a bit. That's generally what Anji's always been like. Pick up and do stuff character. Well described.
Which is sort of an anti-air leap. So you'll notice it doesn't hit the opponent on the ground, so it's a move that you want to do as a combo ender. So it causes a hard knockdown, and your combos with this move, you get to run in and start even more offense on the opponent.
So he didn't mention it being used as a reversal, so I imagine it's probably not invincible. Yeah, so combo ender and anti-air.
Final move he has is Suigatsu no Hakuobi. So while this is actually not an attack, it's sort of a dodge. So using this move lets you guard point through the opponent's attacks. So if you think the opponent's going to reversal or just match up your pressure, or even just in neutral if you expect they're going to hit a long recovery button, you can use
Stop mashing.
Flow through it and counterattack them for trying to hit a button.
I imagine Anji's going to be really good, though, because throws are quite strong in this game, like in a lot of ways. In terms of sheer damage as well. With his butterfly and his wrecker and his guard point, his twirly guard point, he's going to have a lot of opportunities to close distance and throw you. I like that kind of character. Maybe I'll use Anji.
As like Potemkin's guard
Seems
point,
obnoxious. Obnoxious.
Once it's sort of treated like a whiff if they hit you during this move, meaning they're stuck in that long recovery, and you can actually punish them with a throw for those long recovery moves.
Right.
For his super, he has Issei Ogi Sai.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Is guard point just one hit of armor? Guard point was infinite armor in XX, so I guess that the only real counterplay is wait for it to the guard point to finish or throw him. This looks so sick.
It's a multi-hitting projectile super that is used to end combos. It does a lot of damage, and you can use it.
So wafu.
I'm not an Anji player, if it's not evident enough.
Wafu's this word for generally like Japanese aesthetic. I like it because it sounds like waffles. I kind of have some waffles now.
Which gives you time to run up and do more offense. So you want to use this at the end of big combos since it's going to tackle a lot of extra damage. So with that, I'm going to sign off.
Bravo.
Thank you so much for joining
That was a really
today.
good presentation. And it came off hot on the heels on the beta. Like, bravo, Oxys. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I had a lot of fun looking over this. I'm super, super excited for Strive. Everything I see about it, I just get more and more excited. So cannot wait. And yeah, catch you soon. Bye all.